City of Stevens Point Board of Water and Sewerage Commissioners meeting, recorded July 12, 2021.
I think we're going to start. Welcome, everybody. Sorry, I couldn't be there in person. That was my original intention, but I have another Zoom meeting here at 1, so I'll have to be done by that time. So the first item on the agenda is the roll call, which Jamie will take as traditional. Approval of the minutes is next. Any questions or changes?
Oh, we're on to that?
Minutes, yeah.
Minutes. I had a question on page 3 of the minutes, the community area network report. It says getting fiber to Kennedy and Junction City, and Plover has shown more interest in having some other facilities connected. Is that the village of Plover?
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, they've got a few things going on. They're already connected at their village hall. And then the IT guy contacted me about a couple other sites just to see what we might have going on in the area.
I just didn't know if it was the village or town.
Yep, yep.
Any other questions? If not, a motion's in order.
I'll move
for approval.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 Both same sign. Motion carried.
Hey,
Department
Paul,
claims.
real quick, it was a little hard on this side. We had two, Ray and May. Or either one of them, does it matter which is the motion and which is the second? We didn't hear
Nope.
it here.
No,
Doesn't
whatever.
matter.
you prefer.
Okay, how about Ray for the motion, May for the second, for the record?
Sounds good. Okay, so we have 2 sets of claims since we did not meet in the month of June. We'll look at the water department claims for both June and July together. Any questions?
I have a couple of questions just for clarification. Number 55532, it says clear screens due to water shutoff.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just like to know what that means.
That's basically getting a plumber in to clear up some lines on the private side of things after we've had a shutoff that disturbed the water. So
Okay.
basically, it's kind of a dirty water issue that we caused.
Right.
Right here is what you're talking about.
Okay.
That we're kind of responsible for fixing. So when it's something a little bit beyond us, pulling the meter and running some lines, just in case somebody gets into accidentally breaking a fixture or something, we don't want it to be us.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, the biggest thing, Ray, was they had a fancy faucet in the kitchen and needed a proper tool in order to clean it up. So
Okay, well, thanks. The next one is 55555. It says fluoride samples.
Yep.
Is that monthly samples, annual samples?
This is a monthly one, right, Eric? Yeah. Yep.
Okay, is it, do we test all of our supply?
So we
For
actually
fluoride?
test daily, or is it weekdays? Daily tests in-house.
Okay.
And then this one is kind of a check sample to make sure that we're still in line. So
Okay,
we always come back real close.
okay,
Yep.
sounds good. Next question is 55616, monitoring well samples. I know we've been taking monitoring well samples for years, but
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen any results, and I wondered if that's something that might be good for the commission to.
There's certainly a ton of info
sometime.
there. We've kept a spreadsheet since, what, 89 or something like that, where all the constituents and all the monitoring wells are recorded so that we can see any trends that are alarming or concerning or
Yeah.
anything like that. So we can certainly share that anytime you want to see it. We would definitely bring something to you if there was anything of concern, of course.
Oh, I know that. No news is good news.
Yeah. But sure, I'll
It might be just
Get you
good
something
to
to
have
review.
a little report on where the monitoring wells are, the direction of flow of groundwater, all that sort of thing, for folks that are as new on the commission as I am.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, any other questions on water department?
Yeah, this is Carl. I do have just an information question on 55506, the fire line inspection. I guess I'm not familiar with the fire line. Is that a digital communication line, or is that more of a physical line? I'm sure we don't want any fires out there if it's not a...
That's the actual fire system at Well 11.
So the fire suppression system in the building,
Yeah.
those need an annual inspection. They actually take more than annual, but a lot of it is just visual checks during the year. But then we hire somebody who's got the certifications to check out the fire suppression system and sign off that it's operating appropriately.
Do we do that for all of our buildings?
Well, we don't have too many buildings that actually have fire suppression, but we do have annual inspections regardless. Like, they'll come through and collect all of our extinguishers and
sure.
make sure they're good. We'll pull them all out of the trucks and get them in one spot. They'll go through this building, and there is an alarm system in this building. It just isn't suppression, right? So they'll check that and make sure it's working. So yeah, any building that has a fire system. So there's here, the new garage, the biosolids building, Well 11. That might be it. Maybe the office across the street too.
You carry a lot of stuff around your head, don't you?
There's a lot going on here. Yeah. It's leaving as quick as it's coming in.
And a second question related, to Well 11, 55564. We need to modify the rooftop HVAC. Is that related to that, roof
Yes.
repair and replacement? Doesn't it
So what
need a different?
Yeah, so what we did prior to the project bidding is we got a price from Badger Heating and Air Conditioning to basically disconnect that rooftop unit. We hired a crane to lift it. They built a curb to set it back, not the roofing company did, to set it back down on, and then Badger reconnected it. So it was part of the project, but we wanted to know the cost ahead of time so that we didn't have this huge variable between one roofer would have gotten a guy from, you know, Chicago or something that needed $1,200 worth of travel time to get up here. So it's just, we said this is going to be the cost for the project. We'll coordinate the disconnection and reconnection. So it's part of the roofing project.
And is that similar to 55627? Roof drain repair, is that?
Yeah. Yep. So this was actually an unforeseen issue. When they got into demo, the condition of the roof, the way the roof drain was constructed wasn't exactly what we were expecting. And so we had a little bit of kind of on the fly work we had to do to make it work. So we got Rasmussen Plumbing in to come take a look.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing gets past this group, Joel.
I know it, yeah. Hey, we're covering, what is it, 18 months worth here or something like that? Yeah.
All right, let's go on to sewage, unless somebody else has other questions on water. Questions on sewage?
I've got one question on 55470. Says UV lamps.
Yeah, so at Wastewater, during the months of the year where there can be recreation on the river, so I believe it's April through October, basically, something like that, we have UV disinfection running before the water hits the river.
Oh.
And that UV disinfection is accomplished basically with, like, they look like fluorescent bulbs, but they're not. They're ultraviolet bulbs. And those have a lifespan to them that isn't, you know, tremendously long. So this was a replacement of many or all of those bulbs.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when the sewage gets to that point, when the effluent gets to that point, normally we just put it in the river?
Well, not normal. I mean, I guess April, May, June, July, August, September. It's about half the year that UV disinfection's running. That's a permitted thing. We have to do it.
Okay.
And then in the time of year when there isn't as much opportunity for recreation, water skiing and, you know, stuff like that, it's not regulated that we do it. So they're off. Now, we do, you know, all the testing that is required and everything else, but it's that 3-log inactivation of all viruses and bacteria and everything that gets accomplished with the UV, and it's something slightly less than that without it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? All right, let's go on to stormwater. Questions on stormwater? If not, a motion's in order to approve all three sets of claims for both the month of June and July.
I'll move to approve. This is Carl.
I'll second Ray.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carried. All right, Eric's on for the water supply and distribution report.
All right, good to see half of you back in person. As of, let's see here, July or June, you could tell it was really, really hot, so our pumpage was almost as high as it was in 2012, 225 million gallons, due to the excessive heat wave we had after Memorial Weekend. Other than that, everything's running good. There's a couple updates I had. You guys touched two of them in the claims. Well, 11 roof is completed. That was finished up just about, well, they did some touch-up stuff last week, but the end of June, that was complete. The monitoring wells that we sample at every year have been completed. That was right around Memorial Weekend after that. And then we had our triennial Dnr survey done in May, which we'll go through some of that in Joel's report. So that's the three things I had on the water side. If anybody had any other questions.
I've got a question. When we have significantly higher flows throughout the city, like in June,
Yeah.
Would that one go to the flows when we flush the lines, or is it? I just don't know.
Yeah.
You know what?
No, actually, it's still significantly higher without. So when we flush hydrants in May, is that when you're talking about? We average about 1 million gallons a day extra. So right in there, we're probably in the 4 to 5 to 6 million gallons a day, and that's pretty average. In June, our highest number was 9.5 million gallons.
Okay.
It's quite a bit higher.
It is, yeah. So in summer, we're probably right around the 7 to 9 is going to be significant every day of the month.
Yeah. Yeah, we got 9.5.
Yeah.
Okay. But when they flush the hydrants, is that just the normal flow pressures in the system?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So the flow rates would be the same as when we have those high flow days.
Sure. We do notice that when we get up to the 9 million gallons a day, or we're running 4 wells, we do get a handful of dirty water calls because of the increase in velocity and volume going through the pipes.
Okay.
And you can kind of see where your hot spots are where we have usual dirty water calls. So we do notice that the girls do get a lot more calls on those days, kind of hand in hand with more usage, and everybody's using water and watering and washing and flushing and
Scouring the pipes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a possibility that that 225 million is a all-time record? Oh no, I see over there, 304. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, not all the time. But
I think our high day was,
yeah, June, we barely, in 2012, we were just under, I think, this year compared to what it was in 2012 for June. Was it just over?
Yeah.
It was close, 220.
Yeah.
oh yeah, it was 88. It was the same back in 88 was our high day too, of just about 13 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Chris is not available today. He sent along a short memo dated July 7th. And I guess Joel is going to say a few words for him.
Yeah, pretty much just if there's any questions on there, I'll do what I can to answer them. But in his absence, he gave you that little memo. The highlights there are that 34% of the electricity, 74% of the heat on site during this month. We continue to have kind of sporadic issues with the cogen unit. That's why. But also, as expected, we're consuming more gas on site after the startup of the biosolids project than before. So that's still going really well. They had a 29 or 30 day run on the solids dryer last month with a little issue on trying to start up a couple days ago, but nothing severe. So we're still kind of tweaking that, and everything's going well.
The solids dryer, is that where we'd be talking about the heat on site?
I mean, kind of. So we use gas to heat the oil for the dryer, but I think generally what he's talking about on the heat is the fact that we heat the digesters as much as we can with biogas too, because those stay essentially at body temperature all year round. So we're between 95 and 100 degrees on those, and those boilers use that biogas too. So I think that statistic comes from those, and then buildings too, when it's cold out.
Yeah, it was pretty warm there in those.
Yeah, we're not trying to heat buildings right now. Yeah.
Hold on, yeah. I saw you have an intern hired,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was just wondering what that person's doing.
Well, so we have interns every year, sometimes several, and depending on how you look at that, like, so the intern mentioned here is very specifically a wastewater intern. They're generally a student in the wastewater or
Yeah, that way.
solids, or
Right.
even the waste program
Right.
over there. So they do a little bit of everything. It's almost like they're a new employee over time. Like, they get to do labs.
Going from
Yep.
spot to spot.
They get to go around with the guy who kind of does the rounds in the morning and learn what that's about. And then we also have summer employees that take care of buildings and grounds and help out, because we, of course, take care of transit and airport to some degree too. And Craig really kind of coordinates a lot of that between him and Chris and Jason. Actually, I forgot about, they do the big mowing too now, don't they?
Yep.
Out at the airport. And he can get into that a little too with the airport. But so what do we have? Outside of that, we have two right now. Craig's son is one of them. But yeah, that goes well every summer. We've ended up, actually, our employee pool consists of a couple of people that were at one time summer helper interns. So it's a good way to meet good employees too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
All right.
I had a follow-up on a question, or on an item that was brought up in Jason's letter. He talked about,
Oh, this is Chris's.
Or Chris, I'm sorry. Flip to your previous response. About the drive being ordered and long delivery time. Are there other items that, it seems to be time and time again, we're hearing about long lead times for deliveries.
Yeah, there's
Our operations,
so there's a couple of different things, and we have the ones you don't hear about that work really well, obviously are working really well, right? So the case with our gravity belt thickener, it's a BDP belt where it's got the gravity belt and then the compression zone of the belt made by BDP. That's the flip side of the argument. They use parts on there that, for example, the bearings on it are standard Dodge OEM bearings. You can go down to the auto parts store and get them. So there's some of those situations where it's like, this is so easy, it's great. And then you get some of the other equipment that we've chosen because of its specific use to our operation that is much harder. We have equipment where the parts are, the origin of them is Germany or Austria or something like that. And they don't necessarily, depending on how specific the equipment is, if they have 20 machines in the US that are all here, they might stock some in the US. If they have 2, you're getting it from overseas. Mm-hmm. And so it's a balance between making the right decision for what's right for the operation and saying, is there something close enough that we can service it here? And we went through a very, very long, decision-making process between, say, our dryer on that very thing, because there was some US-based companies that sold similar ones, but we didn't think they'd work quite as well or have quite as long a life and those kind of things. So there was a huge decision-making matrix that went along with that. Now, the good news is with that project, we got a ton of spare parts as part of the project. So as we need one, we can use it and then replace it and put it back on the shelf to be ready for most things. But the few things that have happened in the last couple of months have been things that really were kind of unusual, right? There's why did this fan blade fall off? That's not a worn part. That's something that might have been a installation issue, stuff like that. So there was a lot of foresight put into having extras on the shelf, but some things are unforeseeable,
All right, I think we should go on to Craig's report regarding construction and maintenance.
We continue on our lead service line replacement. We're just about, Eric and I talked this morning, about 80% done for what we had, our goal was for the year, so we're gonna finish up with that and possibly do a few more. Construction projects, that we have going on currently by the contractors are both fairly slow, but progressing, as we speak. Other than that, everything seems to be doing all right.
Did the big, precipitation events affect the construction up there?
Yes, it did, yep.
Down?
Yep, it did. They're fighting a little bit of water this morning on the north side because of all the rain we've been having, so it's in the ditch where they're trying to extend the storm sewer, so.
Okay.
And so it still is to this day at a little bit, right?
All right, thank you. Joel, Community Area Network and your director's report.
Yeah, I'll start with the CAN report. One thing, towards the end of last week, I think the way they refer to it is that funds were committed, something to that effect by the agency that funds the school projects. I'm trying to think, do you remember what that is? UCM. Anyway, the the agency, one of the dozens out there that funds those school projects, did commit funds for the Junction City project. So we will be working to connect up the last school in the district to our fiber network this summer, which is exciting. And so far, the functionality of that for the school district, to my understanding, has been very good. That's all I've got on that. And for my director's report, there's two items, and Eric alluded to them. When we didn't meet last month, the only downfall of that is that we had two reports that we needed officially on file. So I just sent those through council. And they're ones you're normally used to seeing, and I will forward them on. But since they've already been just looked at, reviewed, and placed on file through a council meeting, they needed to be done by the end of last month. So it was not a big deal. But you're used to seeing them. One was an every 3-year DNR water sanitary survey, where our interim DNR engineer and our new DNR engineer, because Glenn Filkowski retired, he's the only guy that I've ever known in that role. He probably did that for 30, 35 years, something like that. So we had our new guys here. The survey went very well. Eric's responded to everything in there. And like I said, I'll forward on that report. And then the other one was the annual CMAR for wastewater. It's again the thing where they give you the grade point average, and there was one thing where it wasn't a 4.0, so I think it ended up being 3.96 or something. So as usual, everything was very good. But there was nothing to act on. It was, review and put on file type things. And so we needed those dated last month. So those did go through, but I'll forward those on to everybody.
That 3-year sanitary survey, is that for water?
Yeah.
In the water system?
Yeah. It's deceiving because they call it a sanitary survey, but it is for the water production distribution side of things.
Gotcha.
And they review our cross-connection control program, our private well program, get to all the buildings and look at the facilities and check them for everything that is kind of code compliant there. So it's a pretty in-depth visit that they make every 3 years, and they generally go very well.
Who is our new DNR engineer?
Brian Peets is the guy who was interim, and the new guy's name is
Jordan Lizaway.
Jordan.
He is out of Wisconsin Rapids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Used to work for younger kid.
Staub
Construction. Do a lot of wastewater treatment plant upgrades.
Mechanical contractor.
Cool.
Yep. That's all I've got.
All right, Joel, I assume that based on the conversation that occurred between you and Ray before we started the meeting, that you'll be bringing back that policy that we looked at in May for the August meeting?
Yep, I'm going to make sure afterwards that I've got all the comments and kind of concerns documented here. We'll make a few fine tweaks to it to make sure it represents what everybody's looking for, and we'll bring it back next month.
Very good. Okay. All right, so I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn. Ray.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.